What's up, guys? So for a while, I've been thinking of starting a new video series on silly vegan boycotts. Often, these rather silly vegan boycotts are initiated after a vegan company is sold to a larger non-vegan company, or after a non-vegan company begins to start selling vegan products. Non-vegan companies, like Tyson Foods, for example, makes a product which is vegan, but it's not a vegan company. So then you have vegans saying, we should boycott this product, we shouldn't buy it because we are funding the exploitation of animals. It would be akin to purchasing animal products by doing this. So I don't find any of these arguments really compelling or even rational, and oftentimes these boycotts are just ineffective toward reducing harm to animals and sometimes even counterproductive to the movement. So whether it be vegans demanding servers at restaurants to change their gloves before they're served, grilling waiters about whether or not their food was cooked on pans that were also used to cook animal products, or boycotting vegan companies, otherwise vegan companies like Day of Foods and Impossible Foods. All of these are irrational. They don't actually help animals. They don't encourage these companies or these restaurants to stop purchasing animal products and therefore decrease demand in animal products. If anything, this really just confirms their suspicions and their schemas about vegans, about who we are as people and as a movement. In fact, all this does is discourage store owners and chefs and companies from offering vegan products to vegan consumers if they don't feel that we can possibly ever be satisfied. Now, the specific boycott that I wanted to discuss for this video was the boycott regarding Impossible Foods. So Impossible Foods is the company that makes the Impossible Burger, which is supposed to be a plant-based burger that tastes just like hamburgers. Just in 2016, Impossible Foods tested one of the main ingredients of its Impossible Burger on a group of rats. Now, specifically what they tested was its main ingredient called Soy Leghemoglobin, or heme. So Soy Leghemoglobin, or plant heme, is a molecule similar to myoglobin, which is the iron-carrying protein that is present in animal muscle. So that's what gives meat its iconic meaty taste, is myoglobin. So soy leghemoglobin, which is the plant-based heme similar to myoglobin, is put into mock meats. So it's put into vegan meats to mimic that meaty flavor. In 2014, Impossible Foods did submit a safety analysis of soy leghemoglobin to a team of experts in food safety. This expert panel reviewed all of the information available at the time, and they did deem that soy leghemoglobin is safe for human consumption. Based on this exhaustive testing, we determined that soy leghemoglobin is safe for human consumption, even in quantities far beyond what any human could ever consume in our products, and would be an ideal source of plant-based heme. Now, one thing to note about Impossible Foods is that they truly do care about product transparency. So they're not necessarily going to sell a vegan mock meat and claim that it's safe if they have not received the generally recognized as safe label from the FDA. This label, GRAS, is not required in order to sell any kind of food. All you have to do is just provide some evidence that it is safe, for humans to be eating in a moderate amount. But the FDA refused. They refused to grant them the generally recognized as safe label. Impossible Foods was permitted to sell the Impossible Burger, but for the more skeptical consumers, they did not see any safety label from the FDA saying, hey, this is generally recognized as a safe product. So basically, Impossible Foods, they also applied to get this label from the FDA. And of course, the information that they initially provided for the food safety panel, it wasn't sufficient for the FDA to grant them the GRAS label. So guess what? Impossible Foods was required to go back and do more testing, and unfortunately, they had to test on animals to demonstrate that it was safe for consumption. Unfortunately, this decision did lead to the death of many rats, the suffering and death of them. It wasn't necessary, and they already had enough information to demonstrate that soy leghemoglobin, is safe. But it wasn't enough for the FDA to grant them the GRAS label. Now, Pat O'Brown, CEO of Impossible Foods, ended up releasing a statement on his website on August 10th, 2017, saying, quote, "I personally abhor the exploitation of animals, not only in the food system, but in testing and research. In my 3-decade career in biomedical research, I always avoided using animals in experiments and developed new experimental methods to eliminate the incentive for using them." The FDA reviewed the data and had some questions. To address them, we conducted additional tests. It is industry standard to perform rat feeding studies to demonstrate that a food ingredient is not toxic and is safe. Most companies that submit a GRAS notification to the FDA include tests that use animals as subjects. And cue all of the angry vegan netizens and the backlash that this would garner on Facebook and on other online platforms. A lot of vegans just claiming that Impossible Foods is no longer a vegan company and that vegans should not be encouraged to eat the Impossible Burger. Much of this backlash is rooted in the fact that Impossible Foods at one point tested soy leghemoglobin on rats, on a group of rats. And so they urge that vegans should not purchase their products because they are supporting a company that tests on animals. But it wasn't regular or routine testing. It was a one-time test just to receive the GRAS label, to present the research, the findings of the research to the FDA and to prove once and hopefully for all that soy leghemoglobin is safe. Now, for companies like Daiya Foods, which is now owned by a Japanese pharmaceutical company, that's a little bit more complicated. I will touch upon that in a future video. But for now, with Impossible Foods, they don't continually test their products on rats. They don't continually test soy leghemoglobin on rats. So this idea that you are funding animal cruelty by purchasing the Impossible Burger is quite silly. By boycotting said product, you are really only just giving vegans a bad look. So you're painting our movement in a bad light and portraying us as dogmatic and as just irrational, emotionally charged people. But on top of that, you're doing something far worse. You are decreasing the demand in a potentially a product that could help a lot of people to drop meat, to stop eating animal products. Now, I don't normally give anecdotes, but for this video in particular, I think that my anecdote will give you an example of how this can hurt the movement. My mother is no longer eating beef, so she no longer buys ground beef or hamburgers or meatballs or anything of that sort. She's getting older now, so she has to be careful of what she puts into her body, and eating red meat, and in particular beef, can sort of cause some discomfort. So now she has found solace in the Beyond Burger, which is not the Impossible Burger, but it's another mock meat. Now we go to Whole Foods and we buy the Beyond Burger, and this tastes enough like hamburgers to satisfy her craving, but also doesn't give that discomfort, and it also hurts animals far less because buying the Beyond Burger does not directly increase demand for beef and for more cows to breed into existence to slaughter. So if vegans were to boycott the Beyond Burger, now this might be the topic of another video. A lot of vegans also do not think that vegans should buy the Beyond Burger. The point is that if the Beyond Burger didn't exist, if these mock meats didn't exist, she might continue eating hamburgers to satisfy her gluttony in that sense. By encouraging vegans to boycott the Impossible Burger, you are decreasing its potential and its opportunity to get someone to stop eating meat and to instead choose to eat mock meats. And this isn't always the case. Sometimes people, they really don't like the plant-based alternatives. This is why I'm also in support of clean meat. I have a video up on this. Be sure to watch that video. I don't know which corner it's going to be in, but click on that iCard. Another thing to note is that the fact that these companies like Tyson Foods are producing plant-based products, they're also helping normalize veganism, and they're helping to make us, our lives easier, the people who are already vegan. I was someone who loved animal products. I loved meat, I loved dairy, I love all of that. And so when I became vegan, the fact that I could purchase the Beyond Burger and it tasted so much like meat, it helped me to stay vegan. Now, this video in particular, like I said, was specifically on the Impossible Burger and the fact that soy leghemoglobin was tested on animals. The next video, if you guys want to see it or not, it will be on Daiya Foods, and specifically on this idea that purchasing any kind of product from any non-vegan company is inherently unethical and is perhaps even equivalent to purchasing animal products. This was a pretty short video, and if you liked it, why not thumbs it up and tell me that you liked it if you didn't. And if you didn't like it, then I would like to hear why in the comment section below. I'm open to criticism, and thanks guys for watching. Peace.